Welcome to the Digital Strategy and Marketing channel. This is the Marketing a Unique Business podcast, and here we help entrepreneurs with unique ideas, articulate them and present them to the market, as well as have conversations to develop you and as well as change your life, essentially. So joining us today is Jojo. She is a digital marketing consultant. I don't know how she got into digital marketing, so I'd be quite interested to know that. And she's going to help us break down digital marketing, especially for non-technical founders who are bootstrapping or working with their capital to build their businesses. And without much ado, welcome, Jojo. Let us know who you are.
Thank you. I'm going to try and keep my introduction short.
Okay.
So my intro to this started in uni, where I studied journalism and I minored in PR and marketing. So that was like my first taste of this whole space. Before that, you see ads on TV and you don't even think like, how did they get there and all that. After graduating, my first job was as a video editor at an advertising production company, because at the time I had the grand delusion that I was going to be a Hollywood filmmaker, which was also something I learned in the course of doing journalism. But then I found that the intersection of video production and advertising was really interesting to me. Now, shortly after starting that job, I had my firstborn, and so I quit working because baby. That's a whole other story. But while I was on maternity leave, I discovered some workshops that a friend of mine from uni had put on my hard drive. And so he had put them there. He's like, yeah, keep these things for me for backup. I'll come for them. P.S. He has never come for them, ever. This was almost 10 years ago. But that's when I discovered, wait, there's such a thing as blogging. Wait, you can post on Instagram and grow your business. What is this? And so I was completely hooked. And basically, I just studied everything I could. Fast forward to 2017, I landed my first job with zero experience as a digital marketing strategist at a very small agency. That's how I really got my foot in the door of getting things done. And then after that, I went back to freelancing because, again, motherhood is very important to me. So yeah, I've basically since that point done almost everything under the sun of digital marketing. And again, I say almost everything because there's a lot. And yeah, I've tried my hand in various stages of the digital marketing process along my journey to this point. And right now I'm focused on really doing strategy and education, especially for founders who get overwhelmed by this whole idea, because it almost feels like it's a whole universe by itself, this whole digital marketing thing. So yeah, so that's my origin story.
Yeah. Incidentally, just like you're talking about overwhelm, we acknowledge that, as marketers, most of the time we assume that business is about marketing, but then you notice that, especially for people who are starting up, there's a lot that they need to focus on other than just the marketing aspect. There is operations, and there are all those other things. There is issues to do with compliance, and it looks like a lot of things are calling for their attention. And considering that that is the audience that we are focusing on today, the people who don't have a marketing background and have found themselves all of a sudden having to think about marketing, from what your experience has been, what would you say, how would you define marketing for them? What kind of assumptions do they tend to have about marketing, and how can you kind of just make it, break it down for them so that it can be simple and not overburdening or stressing for them?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. When you're in the founder seat, everything basically falls on your plate. So yeah, it is definitely overwhelming when you have to think about marketing as well. The simplest way I think I would define marketing and digital marketing, or let's start with marketing in general. It's basically you have a product or you have something to offer a very specific customer, and marketing is the process of telling that customer about the offer that you have that's going to solve a specific problem that you have. Now you add the word digital to that, then you're simply doing the same thing but using digital means. So this is using social media and Google and etc. etc. So that's, I think, the simplest way I would define it. So that said, you said the next question was about like some of the assumptions.
Some of the assumptions they tend to have that may be making them overwhelmed about marketing.
Yeah. So there's very many assumptions, but I think I would want to narrow down to like 3 to 5 of those, right? The first thing is I've noticed, especially with startup founders, is they don't fully understand the correlation between marketing and business growth, right? We all, like, as founders, typically we come up with this product and we know it's going to solve loads of problems. And so we focus on that. We're like, if I build this thing, people are going to come. Guess what? People are not going to come until you tell them about it. One, and not just tell them about it, but tell them, hey, this is actually a problem that you have, and I have a solution that's going to help you. So, but now, like, most founders typically just ignore the fact that you actually have to tell people that you have a solution to their problems, which unfortunately means that marketing is usually an afterthought as a result. And now the challenge long term is you're thinking to yourself, but I have an amazing product. Why aren't people buying? It's because you didn't market it. Sorry. The other thing is that I've noticed is people assume that simply posting on social media and having a website, that is what qualifies as digital marketing. That is just like two tiny components of digital marketing. In my opinion, marketing, you can't effectively do marketing without thinking about the strategy. An example that I came across very recently that I really, really love is, think about Coca-Cola. They're a big brand. They're known almost globally at this point. I think the only place that doesn't know them is Antarctica. I don't know.
There are no people in Antarctica.
Pardon?
There are no people in Antarctica. Maybe that's
they're not people. They're not people in Antarctica. There's just seals and icebergs. So, but yeah, recently I came across this thing that Coca-Cola does in the States. So during the Jewish Passover festival, Jewish people aren't allowed to consume anything that has like corn or wheat or all that kind of stuff because it's not kosher, right? What Coca-Cola does is during that season, they will like pick a whole factory, clean it out, and then make a special edition version of Coca-Cola using regular sugar, regular cane sugar. This obviously costs a lot of time. It costs a lot of money. They are losing money in doing this. But here's the strategy behind it. The Jewish population, especially in the States, is one of the wealthiest populations. So what they lose in that month of doing just this like special edition Coca-Cola, which they signify with a yellow cover, they more than make up for it the rest of the year, because guess what? In the Jewish people's mind, they're like, oh my gosh, this is a company that understands us, understands our problem, and is willing to give us a solution, because we love Coke, but then we can't have it during the Passover festival. What do? Coca-Cola is like, we got you. So they go ahead and do that. They lose money in the short term. In the long term, they make a lot of profit. So it's really like, as a founder, it's very important to think about not just marketing as a way for people to know you exist, but there's a lot of thinking behind it that helps you to match your product to solving the problem that your ideal customer has. And then finally, I think one of the things that I've noticed is there's this idea that doing a marketing campaign is enough to bring you long-term profits. I am sort of kind of on a mission to eliminate the phrase marketing campaign, because I feel like it perpetuates this idea of thinking in the short term rather than in the long term. Yet in reality, marketing is a much more long-term endeavor, and it goes just beyond what people see in the public. It's the behind the scenes strategy. It's the behind the scenes, like if your marketing people are not in the meetings when you're having like your 5-year planning meeting or your 1-year planning meeting, you're setting yourself up for failure, right? So that's one of the things I've noticed. Like everyone's like, yeah, I just want to run a campaign for 2 weeks on Facebook ads and get clients and everything. And it's like, it's not gonna work. It really isn't. So yeah, I think I'll probably stop there, and then we can expand on it as you see fit.
Okay, so actually you've said a lot of things that are very very fundamental. The first thing that you said is the aspect of strategic thinking. Of course, even in my experience, I do interact with people who tell me that they gave up on marketing because they paid an arm and a leg for a website that does not bring them customers. Or maybe they had consulted some very expensive marketing companies which did not deliver results for them. Now, I think it's important for us, before we proceed, to break down what in marketing actually brings the results. I know people look for the results in terms of the money, but what really contributes to getting results when it comes to marketing?
Yeah, I think first of all, I resonate with those issues because I've seen it all the time. Like I mentioned in my intro, I've done different parts of digital marketing for different clients. And in as much as I think I'm good at what I do, I always notice that whatever it is I'm going to do for the client doesn't result in long term results because there isn't a holistic strategy. So you have to have a holistic strategy to it. So, for example, let's take you gave an example of clients who have told you, like, oh, I paid an arm and a foot for this website, but nothing is happening. Here's why nothing is happening. Did you think about the SEO? Have you properly crafted your offer? Have you invested in good copywriting, which is the skill of taking words that sell, right? Or rather, crafting words that sell your offer. Once people get to your website, is it very clear for them? It's like, okay, when you hit here, I want you to do this, and then I want you to go to this page, and this is how you book a call, or this is how you add things to cart. Like, what's the user experience like? Outside of just the website, how are you bringing people to the website? Are you using social media? Are you using paid ads? Like, you see, I could go on and on and on about this, but I think that's like the fundamental problem behind this. Like, people assume, like, if I do this one thing, then everything is going to work. And it's like, no, it has to be a very holistic strategy. Otherwise, it doesn't matter what it is that you do or how much money you spend. And unfortunately, there are other marketers who will take advantage of this loophole and be like, yeah, pay me $5,000 a month and I'm going to bring you 10 clients using Facebook ads. Where's the ROI on that? But if you have someone on your team who can at least think through, like, what's the overarching strategy, and make sure that one, it's lined up with your business goals, two, it's actually solving your customers' problems, and you think more holistically that way, long term, then it's definitely going to have a much better result. So yeah.
Yeah, I do resonate with what you're saying. Of course, when I got into marketing, I also discovered there's something that we call the 3% and the 97%. So the 3% is what we refer to the people who are ready and willing to buy at that point in time. Maybe those are the people who are being targeted by a 2-week campaign. And there is a 97% who are still your customers, but may not be at that point when they are ready and willing to buy. But of course, that is where majority of the profits are. But maybe, I don't know, based on what we've said, we've talked about strategy, and sometimes strategy sounds like it's a very big word for somebody who needs to focus on very many things. Is this digital marketing really for everyone? Can everyone do digital marketing, or is it just for people who are, let me say, posh or elite, or people who understand what these marketing things are?
Yeah. I feel like the answer to that for me is yes and no. And here's why. Let me start with the no side. I once worked with a company for whom the final end user is people in rural areas, rural Africa. Like, these are people who don't have access to the internet, right? So trying to use digital marketing to target people like that isn't going to work. For people like that, you're going to have to you're going to have to rely on things like word of mouth, on brochures, like handouts, brochures, and like radio stations. Don't even bother with TV because chances are they may not have TV, but they'll probably have a radio, you know. But that said, in the age that we're living in, you can't really have a brand that's making any kind of impact without being on digital. How you make that impact, or how you use digital to market, is going to vary based on your business. So going back to this company I worked with, while the end user was not on the internet, they still are a brand that required funding from people. They are a brand that relied on corporate partnerships. So the way that they use their digital marketing in that situation was to target these people who are investors or who are going to be corporate partners and the like, but never the end user. So that said, I would say, like, yes, it's digital is for everyone. Everyone should use it. How you use it, however, is going to be very different based on your target customer and based on the solution that you are creating for them. So I hope that answers your question, or did I go completely sideways?
No. I think what you're saying is that digital is just a tool, but you don't necessarily need to use digital to target your end customers, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you want to have a presence, say like for example you'd like to get investment at some point, some of these people who are other parts of the world expect you to have a website, right? I hope that's what
Yeah.
that's what you're talking about. And
Yes, yes.
maybe sometimes when you're talking to people or peers in your industry, they may expect you to have a website or some kind of a digital presence, in as much as that is not the primary way that you actually get business, right?
Yes, yes. So it really is you have to really think critically about your business model. You have to think critically about your end user. You have to think critically about any other stakeholders that are involved in your business, and then take the tool that is digital marketing and adapt it accordingly. If you're an e-commerce business that is selling, I don't know, earrings to Gen Zers, then you have to be on digital and you have to use things like Instagram and TikTok and etc. But again, if your end user is the shamba, the mama in the shamba, then TikTok ni nini? Like, who is TikTok? You know. But you also need the people who are going to partner with you in like logistics, for example. Now those people are going to find you on like LinkedIn, for example. So yeah, that's basically what I'm saying is like, be on digital, but don't be on digital just because someone said you should. Think about how it's actually going to help your business and adapt it to match your business.
Okay. So maybe how I can summarize that is, if your end customer or your target customer has a feature phone, you need to rethink. A feature phone is not a smartphone, just the old, in Kenya we call it it is used to what do you say, to light up thieves, like to mulika mwizi. I don't know how you can say
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I
Shine
don't.
a light at
Yeah,
the
shine a
thief.
light at night. Yeah, and essentially that's what the phone is used for. Then you may need to rethink what you're using your digital tools for.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, let's now talk about, like, for somebody who is considering, maybe they already know that their end consumers may have smartphones, so maybe they qualify for the people who can be targeted by digital marketing. What options are available for them?
So just so I understand your question accurately, we're talking about like the founder who knows their customer is online and has decided like, yes, using digital marketing strategies is appropriate. What options then should they use? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes, exactly. What options should they use? Of course, just like we said, their end customer or their real customer does not have a feature phone, they have a smartphone. So that means they can be reached using social media or using other forms of digital marketing. Then what options are available for them? Yeah, like when it comes to the whole digital marketing space, which has a lot of options.
Yeah. I think before I answer that directly, I would want to touch on something that's called like an ideal customer persona. So welcome to class. Basically put, an ideal customer persona is like an imaginary person that you create in your mind for your business, and you're like, this person is the type of person that I would want to buy my product, right? So let's say, for example, you are, let's say for example, you're a consulting company and you're helping women to start small businesses in the e-commerce space, right? Now, you have to think like, who is that type of woman that's doing this? Is she a mother? Is she married? Does she live in Kilimani? Ama does she live in Zima? Did she go to uni and she also has a master's, or did she get to just what's it called? Did she get to just high school, but she's still somewhat educated and literate? You know, you kind of have to answer all of these questions. Why? Because when you have a very clear understanding of the person who would ideally be buying your product, then you're also going to be able to understand how do they use the internet, right? The person who is having an online shop that's selling secondhand clothes is likely going to be spending a lot of time on Instagram, versus the type of person who's starting an e-commerce brand that's, let's say, selling printers to corporates is probably going to be spending time on LinkedIn and on websites and reading blogs. So once you have a good understanding of who your ideal customer persona is, and you're better able to understand what their behaviors are like, and so you're able to choose the platforms that match the best, right? So with that as a foundation, I'm going to just now rattle off the different options that you can use, right? You can obviously use things like social media marketing. And then you can also use something like social media advertising. What's the difference between the two? Social media marketing, you don't pay the social media companies a single cent, whereas with advertising, you pay them money for them to run an ad, right? The difference is your social media marketing, it will take it will take a longer time, and it's based on the people who already follow you, whereas with advertising you can reach people who don't necessarily follow you. You can use Google and YouTube ads. You can use content marketing, which is basically the production of things like videos and podcasts and blogs and articles and etc. You can use things like email marketing, where someone has to come to your website, and then you're like, hey, yes, I want to hear from you directly in my email inbox. There's a whole strategy behind that. You can use things like SEO, which stands for search engine optimization. What that means is whenever you create content for the internet, you tailor it such that Google is able to say, oh, this is what you're talking about. So when someone comes to search for something on Google, I can show them what it is you've created. And on it goes. So yeah, those are really the options that one can consider.
Yeah, incidentally, you've just reminded me of Jumia. You know that Jumia, okay, initially they were focusing 100% on self-checkout. So what self-checkout is that you go to the website and then you see what you like and then you buy and it's delivered to you. And that's what they were doing across the country. But of course, in as much as we say that internet penetration is over 85% in Kenya, and quite a considerable number of people have smartphones, not everybody knows how to check out on a website. So then we noticed that the strategy changed to be they are promoting Jumia online, but if you are in a rural area, you can go to a place and ask somebody to order for you on the platform. So that is quite interesting. It's a very interesting way of defining things. And perhaps we had also talked about, I'd like you also to go into, I know this may sound a bit more technical for the business owners, these aspects of, because I've been seeing it on the media, sijui rented media, I don't know, sijui paid media and all that. What are all those, how would you define all those in simple layman's language, and or which ones should a non-technical founder consider? Yeah.
That's a good one. The analogy I like to think of is like, think about your housing situation, right? When you have just left your parents' house and let's say you've graduated and you have your first entry level job, the first thing you do is rent like a 1-bedroom in Ruaka, for example, right? You can consider that 1 bedroom to be something like having an Instagram page or an Instagram page. You don't own it, you don't own the audience, but you're able to stay there and start to build a life, right? Then fast forward like 2 years, you've upgraded kidogo. Let's say you're newly married, so you get into a 2-bedroom apartment. And let's say you move from Ruaka and you go to like, I don't know, let's say you go to like Kilimani, for argument's sake, right? That's when now you introduce something, for example, like paid social media advertising. So you're paying a little bit more into the platform to get more access to the audience, and you're not limited to people that follow you, right? So your standard of living has technically improved to, if you're doing it right, that is, has technically improved, and you have access to more people. Then fast forward another 3 years, and at this point you have your first child and the second baby is on the way, and you're like, you know what, it's time to get a house. But you can't afford to buy a house yet. So you decide to rent a house, right? So now you have a compound as well. This is when now you can start expanding out from, okay, we're going beyond just Facebook and Instagram. Now let's start to have ads on places like Google. Let's start to build a website where we are attracting people via SEO. The difference here is like, yes, you have more space within which to live, but you still don't fully own the audience. So ownership, when you become a home ownership, is when you start to own your audience, which is where things like email marketing comes in. Because the beauty with email marketing is whoever signs up to your email list, that is a contact that you like. you don't own the person, you own their contact information, right? And it doesn't matter what happens, like when Facebook changes their algorithm or when SEO suddenly is no longer a thing because ChatGPT has taken over the world and nobody's using Google to search for anything. You can still talk directly to your email list. That is your own home. Now, when and how do you introduce these things? It depends on quite a few factors, but generally speaking, when you're just starting out and you have like zero budget, start by renting your 1 bedroom, or if you can afford, you can go straight to your 2 bedroom. If you, let's say your first paying job, pays a bit higher, you can go straight to your 2 bedroom, which is your regular social media, and then also your paid social media, for example. That's if your client lives in that space, right? Yeah, and then from there, just slowly keep adding. However, the goal also is to start to build your email list as quickly as possible, right? So, you know how like sometimes you have a goal to build a house in like 5 years, but like you don't have a lump sum of money that you're going to put all at once. So it's like gather a bit of money, buy the plot of land, gather a bit of money, and then buy the bricks. Gather a bit of money. That's what your email marketing, like that's how I would want you to think about your email marketing, is that even as you're still renting, you're slowly building up your email list as well, so that when you are ready to finally buy your 3 bedroom, or rather build your own home, you've actually already done the groundwork so that it's able to give you a much bigger return on investment. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have like any more questions on that.
Okay, I think what I understand is that you can start for free. Like that's the best thing about digital marketing. You can start for
Yes.
free.
Yes.
But the catch is you do not own the people who follow you. Like you don't have their contacts, they have followed your page, but yes, you have that page, but in real sense, you don't really, those people are not really yours. They still belong to the platform. And of course, we
Yes.
have been seeing that it is possible for somebody to take that free stuff away from you because it belongs to them. Like for example, that free page. Then of course, as you start for free and people have started noticing you, ensure you have a way of starting to capture their contacts early. I think that's it, because once you've captured their contacts, then at least you have a small sense of ownership, but on a very small level. Then from there you can build up to having what can I say, other ways of collecting contacts on your own platform. That's like your own house, quote unquote, like your website and such. Then at least from there, eventually people will be coming straight to your place, like your website, as opposed to the place that you are renting, that is the social media and all these other spaces. I think something else that I've also captured is that when you've started for free, at some point you can pay these platforms to essentially advertise or put the word out there, and they can add, and that will contribute to more people getting to know you. But at the same time, for you to move up the levels, it's important for you to be getting the contacts, because the contacts is actually what leads to the sales. I hope that kind of simplifies what. Okay, I don't know, I was just trying to repeat it in different words so that
Yeah.
in case someone did not catch the analogy, they can at least hear the explanation. For those who don't know, we were talking about Nairobi, like a small house in a very in a low income neighborhood. That's what we are talking about. Free, then a higher income neighborhood or a higher level kind of neighborhood, and of course eventually owning your own home, not necessarily renting in the expensive neighborhoods, but kind of having your own space there at some point
Yeah.
in the future. So okay, now do you think that there is any additional insight that you may give to technical non-founders, just to show them that what we are talking about is possible, or what kind of barriers would they have that could be presenting them? Because we may be describing it in a very simple way, but what kind of barriers may they be putting in front of themselves, or may they be having for them to actually take advantage of the opportunity that is presented to them, or that is here?
Yeah. Um, let me just like see if I've understood your question. You're
Mm.
you're asking like what are some of the things that some of the funders listening to this episode need to think about as they're getting started with their digital marketing. Is that what you're asking?
Not really what they need to think about as they're getting started with the digital marketing is they have had this, But then there could be something that could be lingering in their minds. It's more of like an insight that you may have, just something to get them to take that initial action. Could it be that they still think that it is impossible, but it is possible for anybody to get started? Could it be like that? Is essentially the direction of this question. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think I'll start with by saying, like, one, as a founder, you need to recognize and accept the fact that marketing is actually important, right? I think that's really the first mental hurdle that people have to get over. Like, you have to market, period. Like, there's just no other way. Like, for me, the way I see it, good marketing equals sales, period. Like, once you accept that, then you're able to now start thinking about the rest of it. Now, we've mentioned a few, like earlier on, people who have paid like a lot of money to a creative agency for them to get like zero results or things like that. What I like to help people think through how to make their marketing decisions is think of it like a triangle, right? On one angle, you have price. On then the other one, you have quality. And on the other one, you have time, right? It would be nice to be able to get high quality marketing results in a very short time at a very low rate. That would be nice. That is not how it works, unfortunately. You can only ever have two, right? So depending on your situation, you need to decide for yourself. Do I have an abundance of money? Okay, fine. If I have an abundance of money, then I can invest it in high quality personnel who can get me the results that I want in a shorter time as possible, right? If you realize, wait, you know what, my budget is not that high, but I really want high quality results, then you have to be willing to put in the time required to build up your reputation online, build up your systems for marketing, invest the time to learn to do it yourself if necessary, right? Because you don't have the budget, right? So you really kind of have to think about those three things. Like, you can't have low price and high quality in a short time. It just doesn't work. So based on your own situation as a founder, you need to like examine yourself, like, what do I actually have in terms of time resources, in terms of personnel resources, and in terms of money resources. Based on that, you can make the decision how to start your marketing, right? Whether you're going to hire professionals or you're going to hire an intern. Like, let's say your neighbor's 18-year-old kid is really good on TikTok. You're like, hey, I'm going to give you very little money, and I know it's going to take a lot of time, but you can eventually help me to grow on this platform because it matches my ideal audience, you know. So you have to think about some of these things. And then I think finally, I would say, as founders, it's as I've learned from you, Dennis, as founders, when you're creating a product, it's something that's very precious to you, and it's very hard for you to let go. It's important for you to let go, at least, like, even if it's just to hire someone for 1 hour to think through how to market your marketing, if that's all you can afford, right? Or if you can afford to hire someone who has loads of experience and then trust them to actually help you market your product, right? You have to bring people in to collaborate with you, because otherwise, again, because you have so much on your plate, you're looking for funding, you're hiring people, you're hiring developers if you're in the tech space, you know, you're doing all of these things. Trust people to help you with the marketing as well. How you trust people, again, is dependent on your triangle of price, quality, and time. So just determine that, but like you need to let people help you. So yeah, that's, I think, what I would share.
Yeah, that's quite profound. That a business will never grow if you are just if you are just the one who is running around and doing everything, trying to control marketing, trying to control other aspects, trying to control quality. It may be very difficult for you to actually build it, because by the time that it takes for you to become an expert in aspects such as marketing, someone has invested years to do that. But it may be very difficult for you, or even impossible for you, to get to that level of expertise and still keep other aspects of the business running. So I think that insight of you can't do it by yourself, it is important for you to get help. And there are different kinds of help that are available. If you can only afford certain level of stuff, you can always get someone maybe like Josephine, who can assist you every month to work with your sales team to just give them some insight, and that may be something that you can afford at that point. And of course, that is going to help you move from point to point. At this point, I'll just ask Josephine, did you come with a gift for the audience?
It is in the works. It is in the works, but it's something that we can definitely, like, within the next week or so, it should be ready. And the idea behind this is like a simple, should I call it a quiz or an assessment, to basically help you gauge, like, where are you in your marketing journey, what's your budget, what resources do you have access to, and like let that be help you to give you a guide for, okay, at least I can start here. It's not going to give you a full-blown strategy for the next 5 years, but it can give you some clarity around, like, okay, this is what my business is like, this is what I can start with right now when it comes to digital. So yeah, it's coming.
So the tool is in the works. The tool is in the works. So Josephine is working on a tool to help technical and marketing founders figure out how to go about digital marketing. And if you'd like that tool, please get in touch with Josephine. Josephine, please tell us how the audience can get in touch with you to get that tool and any other marketing advice that they may need.
Yeah, sure. You can send me an email over at jojo@josephinetendo.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. I am Josephine Tendo Babirye on LinkedIn. Yeah, those are the two best ways you can get in touch with me. And then Dennis, for you, I'll share it with you as well, so that if someone is able to DM you directly, you can just go ahead and pass it over. It's free. Did I mention it's free? There's no charge. It's going to be a completely free tool, and the goal is really just to help you, like, the goal is to just help reduce all the overwhelm of, like, oh my god, where do I even start? Like, digital marketing is a whole beast. It's like, yeah, it's going to be like the small, I guess, bow and arrow to be like, just start here. That's all you need. So
yeah. We'll ensure we also put it in the link in the description of this podcast, wherever you're going to listen to it from, on social media or on YouTube or on our Spotify as well. So please stay tuned for that. Thank you very much, Josephine, for joining us today, for sharing your wisdom with us, and of course for the analogy of houses. I'm sure everybody plans to have a house, or if they own a house, at least it's one of the things that you say, that my name is Dennis and I own my own home. I think it's a point of pride, especially on this part of the continent. Yeah, and I'm sure we'll connect sometime later. Thank you very much.
thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being here, and I hope this was really helpful.